Welcome back to episode 80, Troy, of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with my good buddy Troy, as always. What's up, man?
Not a whole lot. Getting ready to watch some hockey tonight.
Yeah, it should be a fun night. Total gong show at my house, of course. Hot water heater goes last night in the middle of daughter's shower. Get a phone call. She's freaking out. I have soap in my hair. How am I going to get the soap out of my hair? I'm like, well, take a cold shower, I guess, for one night. So, yeah, that's been a fun experience, learning all about how hot water heaters work. So, trudging through that. Before we get started, I do have a little bit of a mea culpa from last episode. First, you had one, and now me, Troy. I'd love to use the COVID fog or COVID brain as an excuse for me butchering Johnny Busick's name on last show, but I won't. Just like you, I suck at name pronunciation.
Yeah, I'm used to it. You were so confident, though. I just thought it was right.
I know.
Didn't even think. You were just confident. And then,
well, you got to own it, even if it's bad, right?
Friend of the show.
And we do compliment each other in like a million ways on this show, but this is one where we do not. We don't help each other out here. Like, if you knew every name or if I knew every name and like I screw up and you could say, Josh, it's Johnny Busick. But we're so inconfident in our own pronunciation abilities that we just let each other kind of roll right off the cliff with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, shout out to Special One Cards, our friend of the show that let us know. So thank you to him for letting us know. No one else actually wrote in and let us know.
Oh, they did. You just didn't see it.
Oh, they didn't. Okay, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's what happened. A lot of people did. So my apologies to Bruins fans. I know it's been hard enough getting thumped in the first round. But for me to...
There you go. Get mad. Start arguing back with them.
Destroy Johnny Busick's name was offensive, and I apologize. I'll do better. Well, Troy, tonight, Monday, the day this show comes out, is a big one for us. We're doing our very first YouTube live show. I can see the excitement on your face.
Well, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Starts at 6:55 Central Standard Time on the Hockey Cards Gongshow YouTube channel. If you have not already, go and subscribe so you get notified when the show starts. We're going to be breaking down the NHL Draft Lottery. Going to also be joined by special guest Jeremy Lee. So by this time tomorrow, a little more than 24 hours from now from when we're recording, we'll know the most likely future home of Connor Bedard. That's kind of crazy to think about.
I'm more nervous that we're going to jump on. They're going to immediately start the show at 7 and announce the first pick, or whoever gets, I don't know how they're going to do it. They're probably going to go reverse snake, and we're going to be scrambling because we don't know what's going on. That's what I'm worried about, but we'll figure it out.
It's 100% certainty. Listen, if we can't pronounce Johnny Busick's name, how are we going to pull off a YouTube live show? So if you love train wrecks, car crashes, it could be a good show for you. We'll have Jeremy there, so we'll get some great hobby perspective, of course. And then there'll be a Q&A element with the chat, which will be fun. And I'm just looking forward to a great discussion about, what color jersey, what city Connor Bedard is going to represent and what the impact that will have on the hobby. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm a little scared, but we'll get over it. We're big boys.
Yep.
We can do it. All right, last thing before we get started is just a reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means that we rely on supporters like you to help us cover expenses, continue to produce more, and hopefully better hockey card content like YouTube live shows, and to help us fund initiatives to grow the hockey hobby in even a small way. Right now, you can there's a few spots left of our $99 support level tier for $5 a month to support our show. You also get exclusive access to the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server. It's really easy to do. You can go to hockeycardsgongshow.com, our website, and click on the Become a Patron link. Or you can go to the Patreon website at patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. There's a link in the show description for whatever podcast app you're listening to us on right now. And finally, in our Instagram and TikTok profiles, there's a link to our Patreon in our link tree. We have one new patron since our last show, JT Hockey. Thank you very much for your support. Troy and I really appreciate it. And with that, Troy, let's go on with the game plan.
On today's show, we begin with the greatest NHL player to wear number 80. Then it's another playoff edition of Who's Hot and the Struggle Bus. We then continue our deep dive on rookie returns. Next is hobby news, followed by a look at the hobby impact of having no Ovi or Crosby in the NHL playoffs. We end the show with new product releases and personal pickups. All right, Josh, here we go. Number 80, the greatest NHL player to wear number 80. Per the Hockey Writer's greatest player to wear each number article is Nick Antropov.
I've heard the name Antropov, but
there we go. I've heard him too. I remember him being a pretty high draft pick, which we'll find out. He is a center from Oskamin, Kazakh, Soviet Union. There we go. I think
beautiful vacation spot, I've heard.
Yeah, beautiful vacation spot. I think I got most of that right. Antropov was the 10th overall pick in the 1998 NHL entry draft by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Antropov played in 788 regular season games over a 13-season NHL career. Antropov played his first 8.5 years with the Toronto Maple Leafs. This was followed by seasons with the Rangers, our favorite Atlanta Thrashers, and finally the Winnipeg Jets. For awards and accomplishments, we have a big fat nothing. Nada. Zilch.
You've accomplished nothing?
I don't know what else to say. He played in the Olympics or World Juniors or World Championships with Kazakhstan. I just gave away a fun fact, but that's about all there is. Over his career in the regular season, he had 193 goals, 272 assists for 465 points. He made the playoffs in 5 of his 13 NHL seasons, compiling 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points in 35 playoff games played. Best season of Antropov's career from a point standpoint was his 2009-10 season, where Antropov had 24 goals and 43 assists for 67 points in 76 games played with the Atlanta Thrashers. All right, pretty uneventful career for being a 10th overall draft pick. He did manage to have 3 seasons of 20-plus goals and 5 seasons of 40-plus points. So I don't think he's a complete meltdown or a bust, but would like to see a little bit more production from a 10th overall pick, but it happens. And
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, who has a better career, Nick Antropov or Alexis Lafreniere?
Oh, geez. Right when you said who's going to have a better career, I knew where it was going. Well, right now, Antropov's got the better career going, but we'll see. Maybe Laffy can turn it up. And since I didn't know that much about Nick Antropov, I did find a little quote from Rob Reese of NHL.com, and his little byline was, Antropov could play up and down the lineup and contributed when needed consistently for more than a decade in the NHL. In Toronto, he had seasons where he played on the top line with Matt Sundin, also known as a very good two-way player. That's about all we got for Nick Antropov on his playing style and career. So fun facts, I already gave away one of them. Internationally, he played for Kazakhstan.
Was that where Borat was from? The Sacha Baron Cohen character?
I think so, but I never know. I can't remember the country. I just remember the absolute phenom that movie was when it came out.
Yeah.
And how funny it was. All right, fun fact number 2. When Owen Nolan joined the Maple Leafs in March of 2003, Antropov changed his number from number 11, which was Nolan's number for the San Jose Sharks, to number 80, the year of his birth. Now you know how he got number 80.
Mm-hmm.
Antropov was 6 feet 6 inches. In 2003-04, he played on a line in Toronto with Joe Nieuwendyk and Alexei, Ponikarovsky, that was dubbed the Skyline due to each player's height. And
what are the odds we have to start this show or next show with our Alexei Ponikarovsky apology, but I don't think anybody cares.
No, I think I got close on that one, though. And our last fun fact, became a Canadian citizen in 2007.
Didn't the last guy become a Canadian citizen too?
They had very similar years played and everything. Same draft and everything.
Go Canada. People like it there so much, they want to be there forever.
Hey, might as well. All right, his rookie card. Had to dig through the depths of TCDB. Landed on the 1999-2000 SP Authentic, number 118, Future Watch, serial numbered out of 2000. Not much going on here. The BGS 9.5 copy has a pop of 1 with a gem rate of 3.3%. So out of the 30 submitted cards to BGS, only one of them got a 9.5. The rest are all below that. There are no PSA copies of this card. That's about it. There's not much sales. He does have autos, though, in 2020-21. SP Signature Edition Legends. that go anywhere from $1 to $10.
So his full first name is Nikolai.
Probably.
If you have the name Nikolai, I'm guessing you're taking kids' lunch money at school in Russia, right?
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Is 81 any better?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm probably just forgetting.
81, everyone's heard of. Hopefully.
Oh, great. Okay, we're going to move on to another playoff edition of Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus. As we're cruising into round 2. So let's see who made each list. And Who's Hot, we have to start with Leon Draisaitl. Ever heard of him, Troy?
I have heard of Leon Draisaitl.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
He's like the second fiddle to Connor McDavid, right?
Yeah. Poor man's Connor McDavid. Draisaitl is currently leading the NHL playoff scoring race with only 17 points in 8 games played. 2 points ahead, Troy, of his good buddy, Connor McDavid. What's most impressive, though, of course, is his 13 goals in 8 games. I'll say it again, 13 goals in 8 games in the playoffs. That is 6 goals ahead of Mikko Rantanen, who's bounced, but he had 7 goals in the Avs opening 1 series that went to 7 games with the Kraken. This, of course, included the second 4-goal losing effort in the playoffs to go with Joe Pavelski for the Stars in the Oilers' Game 1 versus the Golden Knights. And Troy, in case you're wondering, the NHL record for goals in the playoffs is 19, set by Reggie Leach for the Philadelphia Flyers in 1976, who got to that total in 16 games. So in 8 games, he's got 13 goals. This postseason, Draisaitl only became the second NHL player to ever score 8 or more goals through the first 5 road games. The other guy got a nickname coming up, Frederick Cyclone Taylor.
Nice.
Who did it with the Vancouver Millionaires in 1918. They should change their name back to the Millionaires. That's pretty funny.
That's fantastic.
In case you're wondering, the record for goals in a series is 12, which was set by Jari Kurri in 6 games against the Blackhawks in 1985. Leon currently has 6 goals in 2 games versus Las Vegas. So depends how long the series goes and how long he plays or how well he plays. There is a chance he could break the goals for a series record too.
I gotta jump in because I was having a conniption or a panic attack. So Leach has got the record with 19. Is that what it is for in 1 playoff series?
No, in 1 playoffs.
1 playoffs, yes. And I believe he's tied with Jari Kurri, right, with 19 goals in 1 playoff season or whatever playoffs.
In 1 playoff series. So, like with the Oilers taking on the Golden Knights, Jari Kurri had 12 goals in 1 series against the Blackhawks in 6 games in 1985.
Yeah, but in 85, he also had 19 goals during the whole playoffs. So when
he did?
Leach, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that would have tied.
I was panicking.
With 3 more goals, Draisaitl will tie Mario Lemieux's best postseason goals total. With 4 more goals, he'd tie Wayne Gretzky's best. So that's how rarefied error or rarefied territory he's getting into. Okay, sorry. So here's the big one, Troy. Let this sink in for a sec. For any player with more than 200 regular season and 40 postseason games played, Draisaitl has the highest increase in scoring in NHL history between the regular season and the postseason. So nobody ever has upped their game more between the regular season and postseason, but it's all thanks to McDavid.
Yeah. Would you say he's upping his game, or is he just sandbagged during the regular season?
Yeah, I don't know. It's what do you say at this point? It's just ridiculous. He's making Connor McDavid look kind of pedestrian, which is probably the highest compliment you could ever get. I did see this morning when I was reading some articles that, and I'm sure he kind of has to, but McDavid was quoted as saying that he thinks on many nights that Draisaitl is the best player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What's he going to say? But it's still McDavid, of course, overall. Draisaitl is a 2014 young gun. His PSA 10 popped 714, has a 60% gem rate. It last sold Troy on May 4th for $925 US, up about 16% in the past 2 weeks. So it's climbing up. I know the urge for many, including kind of myself. I'm a big Leon guy. I would love to go buy a bunch of cards right now. But remember, this is Leon selling season, not buying season.
Yeah.
No matter what he does in the playoffs, no matter if they win the cup, if he wins the Conn Smythe, sure, it'll go up a little bit from what it is now, but there's always that 15 to 30% drop in the crater, as we talked about last show, of the offseason dip.
Yeah.
So yeah, Leon Draisaitl.
All right.
You got the next one?
I do. Next, who's hot? Frederik Andersen. Okay. Welcome to the life of an NHL goalie. So Anderson watches the first 5 games of the Hurricanes round 1 series versus the Islanders as Ante Ranta was tasked with the net during those games. Then, of course, in Game 6, Anderson is called on to start. He goes in, plays great, gets a victory, allowing 1 goal on 34 shots. So now, seeing how well Anderson played, of course, being this is the NHL and goalies, the Hurricanes just decide we're going to start rolling with him to start their round 2 series against New Jersey. And Anderson has went on to play fantastic in the first 2 games, getting 2 wins while allowing just 1 goal in each game. In fact, in the playoffs so far, Anderson has 3 wins, 0 losses, with a .97 goals against average and a .963 save percentage. Josh, I think that's pretty good. I don't know. I feel that's pretty
decent.
Decent. I'm going to guess Carolina goes with Anderson until he gives them a reason not to, because this is the NHL and this is what you do. This is why we talk about goalies are so hard to invest, especially in the playoffs, because they can just switch up really quick if one of them doesn't play well for a game or 2, and then you get the next guy in, and if he plays hot, they're going to keep rolling with him.
Do you think the goalie decision, as in who starts and who doesn't, is one of the biggest or toughest decisions a coach makes during the playoffs?
Probably. It definitely, yeah. If not, it's the second hardest. It's definitely up there because it's such a streaky position. It's the one that the media can really focus on because it's one guy or 2 guys, basically. There's not a whole lot of other moving factors. Obviously, there's the team in front of him, but it's between 2 players. Again, we always say this, hindsight's 20/20, or you can be Dean Evanson, and after your goalie plays a great first game, just decide, let's see what the veteran can do, and then basically derail the whole Wild team for the rest of the series with the Stars, but I digress. All right. Anderson playing great. I know it's not, we used to like say like our last 2 weeks, but we're kind of shortening it for the playoffs, but he has played really well in his 3 playoff games. His Young Guns is 2013, number 462. PSA 10 has a pop of 109 with a gem rate of 69%. Again, not a lot of recent sales to this card. There was one sale on May 4th for $60 US. On April 2nd, there was a sale via ebay.ca and showed paid in Terapeak for $81 US, which to me kind of set off some, I don't know, what do you want to call it, bells, red flags. That seemed pretty high. But there was another sale in March of 2023 for $45 US. And then you go back to October of 2022, there were sales in the $55 to $65 US range. Again, Anderson's an older guy. You're not going to make millions of dollars, or you're not going to make a ton of money investing in him.
Not a lot of chase.
No, there's not a lot of chase.
Okay, so we have Draisaitl, Frederik Andersen. Last guy on Who's Hot is Roope Hintz. The 26-year-old Dallas forward has had a fantastic postseason to this point. Through 8 playoff games played, Hintz has 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. Did you know his nickname is Ace of Spades? Have we talked about that before?
No, that's pretty sweet. Is it because of the Motorhead song?
No, I don't think so. It was coined by former Texas Stars goalie Mike McKenna during the 2017-18 season. It comes from, I guess there's a trio of playing cards tattooed on his forearm.
Okay.
So not the funnest story, but...
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But...
For much of the regular season, Troy, Hintz played on a line with Joe Pavelski and Jason Robertson. Had you ever heard the name for this line?
I did. I love it.
Pavelski and Sons.
That's awesome.
It's kind of funny, if you ask me. Apparently, they have not reunited the line since Pavelski came back from the injury suffered against the Wild. And I've seen some speculation there that it could be part of the reason why maybe Jason Robertson is struggling to score a little bit in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there. But getting back to Hintz, he's coming off a career best regular season in which he had 37 goals, 38 assists for 75 points in 73 games played. Of course, this isn't a math show, Troy, but that is more than 1 point per game. Hintz is a 2018 Young Gun. His PSA 10 popped 367, which seems really low. Last sold for $100 US on May 6th. It's up 24% in the past 2 weeks. So nice playoff climb for Hintz there. So I've got a question for you. It's more of like a hockey cards investing question. Right up your alley, of course, but hey, you're the only co-host, so who else am I going to ask it to? If you're looking to invest in a player like Hintz, where you invest in players because you assume they have upside, right? And They're going to play better. They're going to establish themselves as stars. They're going to go up tiers. They're going to score 40 goals, 50 goals, whatever it is. And then your cards are going to go up in value. At what age is a player too old where you're like Hintz is 26, and it kind of made me think about him where this like 35, I know he had 37 goals, but like 35 goal, 35 assists, 70, 80 point guy. Is this what he is, do you think, at this point? Or is he the next, everyone loves to use the Tage Thompson example where he'll score 50 goals next year? I don't know. I just start to get nervous around 26 years old. And I'm wondering if you feel the same way.
26 is actually the first number that popped in my head when I think about maybe this guy's a little too old. For a goalie, probably not, because we've always talked about goalies usually start in the league a little older. But for a player, 26 is really hard, especially I was just looking up his stat line. He's under a point per game player. He's done well the last couple of years. He's obviously progressing, which we like to see. I just don't know if he has enough runway at the end of the day to get into that next level and become really highly desirable and chased, given that he's 26 years old.
Yeah, he's a really good player. But as we've talked many times now before, there's so very few spots for hobby elite guys that you really have to be special to become an Austin Matthews type, or even like a Jack Hughes or Jason Robertson. I just don't know, however, or how much of a chase there'll be for a guy like Hintz. But we always want the next guy, right? Everybody wants to buy low, sell high. I don't know if this is kind of like a trap player from that perspective. Again, it's nothing against him as a player because he's a very, very good player, of course, too. And the other thing I think about is, as much as we like to use the Tage Thompson example, that's an outlier. When you're generally trying to invest in players or invest in cards, really you got to play the game of averages. And so it doesn't mean that Hintz can't follow or won't follow the Thompson trajectory. But I think if you play the game of averages, that these are kind of the trap guys a little bit, that if you go really deep, you might never get that type of return. Does that make sense to you?
Makes sense. Complete sense to me.
Oh, there it is, Troy. Struggle bus is up. Got a baby on board.
Do you feel the struggle bus tried to pick you up though on the way, and it just kind of couldn't find your house? All right, here comes the struggle bus. It's here. It's loud. Needs repairs, but it keeps on trucking. The one player that we're going to have on the struggle bus, Akira Schmid. Oh, boy. So
what was your favorite Akira Schmid moment, huh?
Let's be honest, man. Akira Schmid was a big reason why the Devils won their first round series against the Rangers. Big reason. In the first round, Schmid went 4-1 with a 1.39 goals against and a .951 save percentage. However, welcome to the NHL. Welcome to streakiness. Welcome to round 2, and it has been a complete disaster for Schmid. So far, Schmid is 0-2 in the second round with a 6.79 goals against average and a .806 save percentage. He has also been pulled in both games. Not good. And in fact, has been pulled in 3 of his last 4 starts. So that's a little interesting nugget right there. And again, maybe 2 games is unfair to put him on the struggle bus, but our struggle bus likes to pick up players, and I think that disaster of a stat line, he probably deserves to be on there. But it has been an absolute brutal start for Schmid against the series, against the Hurricanes. And
the playoffs leash is short, right?
It's definitely short. And it cracks me up because, in fact, on our May 1st show, we were actually talking about Schmid maybe being a potential breakout star because of how well he played. And then, welcome to playoff hockey, and this is what happens. And actually, as we're recording, Carolina, New Jersey is playing right now. New Jersey actually started Vanasek, and at the time of recording right now, it's 5-2. New Jersey is winning. So we'll see. Probably going to switch back to Vanasek. I haven't watched any of the game. It looks like Vanasek has only 18 shots and 16 saves, so who knows how well he's actually playing. But that's just a little interesting nugget. So Schmid, he's a 2021 Young Guns. His PSA 10 has a pop of a whopping 15 with a gem rate of 58%. But even at that PSA 10 pop of 15, there has been some sales. April 29th sale in Terapeak for $200 US. There was an April 27th, 2023 sale in Terapeak for $150 US. And then in February of 2023, this card was going for around $40. And like we mentioned on our May 1st show, we have an Instagram post that actually goes into some of these. I think the 200 is a record sale, if I remember right. And Josh put some information up there, but it is absolutely crazy kind of trajectory. It's almost going to be this like really sharp rising curve or bell curve, and it's going to come straight down or shoot straight up and then come back down if he doesn't play as well as he did in the first round.
Well, the big lesson here again is when a guy comes out of nowhere, like Schmid did, and has a couple of fantastic games in the playoffs that are very high profile, everybody's talking about it. Sell.
Yeah.
Don't hold thinking, oh, what if he goes on an 11-game tear? That's not super likely. And if you didn't sell, you're going to probably be left holding the bag a little bit, especially if he doesn't find a way to turn it around. But then that being said, too, this is what you always talk about with these goalies, is it's such a roller coaster, this position. And you can look unstoppable for a couple games and then can't stop a puck the next two and get yanked both games. So Akira Schmid rides the struggle bus. All right, Troy, we need to make a quick PWCC mention. PWCC, of course, is a Gong Show partner and sponsor, and we want to thank them for helping to make our show possible. The April Vintage Premier Auction is live. There's 6 hockey cards in this month's Vintage Premier Auction. There's a 51 Parkhurst Gordie Howe rookie PSA 7. There's also an SGC 7, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how those do, given they're both the same grade. There's also a 51 Parkhurst Maurice Rocket Richard PSA 6, an 80 OPG Ray Bork PSA 10, a 1966 Topps Bobby Orr PSA 7, that's a nice card, and a 79 OPG Wayne Gretzky PSA 8. So if you recall, Troy, last month PWCC began segmenting their premier auctions, I think because they had so many like trading card game stuff and modern sports, vintage sports, all the different kind of categories. And so this is the vintage premier auction where there's 6 cards. I believe this is the first month they're doing it. And of course, too, the current PWCC weekly auction is live as well. Right now there's 128 cards in the auction. We will pick out our favorites like we always do for Thursday's podcast. But in the meantime, head to pwccmarketplace.com to check out all the awesome cards available in either the premier or weekly auctions. And they have a fixed price marketplace too. Well, I had to go back through show notes to look at Rookie Deep Dive, and it was a little bit longer than I thought since we've done it. It's been a few months.
Yeah, it has
but
been.
And I just thought, well, there's a kind of a big new crop of rookies that sort of gained more prominence with the Series 2 release. We had a couple college guys that jumped to the NHL right before the playoffs as well. And so I thought, well, maybe it's worth bringing it back for a couple more times as we kind of skate on through the playoffs here. So it's our 17th Rookie Deep Dive, Troy. I'll roll through the 16 we've done to this point, just in case anyone's wondering. Matty Beniers, Matt Boldy, Shane Wright, Yuran Slavkovsky, Owen Power, Shane Pinto, Kalen Addison, JJP, John Jason Paterka, Logan Thompson, Kent Johnson, Jack Quinn, Arbor Jacki, Andrea Kuzmenko, Pyotr Kochekov, Cole Perfetti, and Wyatt Johnston. So this week's candidates were Matthias Michelli, Dylan Holloway, Jake Sanderson, and our guy Matthew Knies. Did an Instagram poll. It was pretty even. Actually, had a lot of votes, so thank you everyone for voting. Well over 100 votes. And the winner, Troy, not a huge surprise to me, but with 34% of the vote, Matthew Knies. Does that shock you or no?
No, it doesn't shock me at all, especially with Toronto and the playoffs. And I don't know, I just found this out. Do you know where he's from originally? Like where he was born?
Slovakia.
Nope, his parents are. His
parents Phoenix.
Yeah, Arizona. So I wonder, him and Austin Matthews are probably best buds because they're both from Arizona. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Well, Matthews has got to be quite a bit older, right? 6-7 years older than him?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Something like that. Well, Knies has had an amazing run since playing in his very first NHL game with the Maple Leafs on April 10th, not too long ago. Ironically, it was a road game try against the Panthers. In his 3 regular season games played before the playoffs began, he did register an assist, but in 7 now career playoff games, he has 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points, and seems universally getting praise from just about everybody that he's been really, really good for the Maple Leafs, and they've been giving him some like top 6 treatment too and stuff like that. So he's been playing with some of their big time players. In game 2 against the Panthers, I don't know, Troy, you're the wrestling guy. Was he RKO'd by Sam Bennett? Is that the the proper term?
The Randy Orton move?
I don't know. Anyways, he's out for at least game 3 and 4, dealing with a concussion. Did you see that hit? I'm just curious as your thoughts.
I didn't see the hit. And I just hate all this concussion stuff. It stinks, but I get it. It's hockey. It's physical games, the playoffs. But I did not actually see the hit.
It was more that either Bennett went to hit Knies and Knies went to return hit, but then jumped out of the way and they got like tangled up. And I guess depending on what your perspective is, either Bennett's arm got tangled or he kind of took him down and slammed him to the ground. I think that's the issue that most people have with the hit. And then, of course, Bennett also cross-checked Michael Bunting to the neck, and then, for good measure, when he was down on the ground, gave another shot to the ribs. So what's your thoughts on the whole Bennett kind of aspect in this? It seems like he is public enemy number 1 at this point in Toronto.
Yeah, I just watched the Knies hit. Man, that one's... I mean, he doesn't let go, I can tell you that. He definitely slams him down. I think that's definitely a dirty kind of play, but maybe I can't see Knies' arm. Maybe he was doing something, but every team's got someone you gotta hate, and Bennett seems to be filling that role. Him and he's taking away the spotlight from Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm. And I am really bummed because Knies is our guy here from the Gophers, of course, and like you just said, never want anyone to get hurt, but the playoffs do need a good villain too. And it really adds that extra element of intrigue for this series, which kicks off again tonight, Sunday night. So I'm excited to watch that game. Here's a little bit about Knies' background and I guess how he got to this point. He's a 20-year-old forward for the Leafs, of course. A big kid, Troy, 6'3", 234 pounds. Was drafted 57th overall by Toronto in the 2021 NHL entry draft. He is from Phoenix.
Phoenix, you got it.
As
nice.
we talked about. Knies played his junior hockey for the Tri-City Storm in the USHL. Played there for 2 years and tallied 31 goals, 56 assists for 87 points in 90 games played. Then he moved on to the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Big Ten. Row the boat, Skyuman, go Gophers. For 2 years. As a freshman, he recorded 10 goals, 17 assists for 27 points in 29 games played. Was a unanimous choice for the Big Ten All-Freshman team. Knies was also a finalist for the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Did not win. This past college season, Knies scored 21 goals, 21 assists for 42 points in 40 games played. He won the Big Ten Player of the Year. Was also a finalist with teammate Logan Cooley for the Hobey Baker Award, which of course was won by Michigan freshman Adam Fantilli. As far as his play style, here's what one scout had to say, Troy. Knies is a big body power winger who has added an extra pace to his game this season. He's quicker to open space and tracks up and down the ice efficiently. The majority of his offense comes from between the hash marks and around the crease in the offensive zone. There are no professional cards for Knies at this point in a Maple Leafs jersey. My guess is I think he'll be seems like a Series 1 young gun in 2023-24. I'm guessing it'll be a pretty big chase at this point. There is, Troy, though, and you have to start looking this up. There's a 2022 Olympic card for Knies. And oh boy, if you think Andrei Kuzmenko has an unfortunate facial expression on his young guns, take a look at Knies' Olympic card. Yikes.
Yep, that's beautiful.
Somebody did him dirty in making that card.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Can you imagine a guy like Matthew Knies who is like, oh, this is my first ever hockey card, and you get like the pack or whatever and open it up, and it's like, really?
Yeah, his mouth.
That's the photo
sideways, and
it's so bad.
That's just a bad picture.
That's a bummer. All right, Matthew Knies, Rookie Deep Dive is back. Okay, want to move on to hobby news. So, Troy, we have Calder Trophy finalists. The Calder Memorial Trophy is the annual award given to the player selected as the most proficient in his first year of competition in the National Hockey League, per definition from NHL.com. So this year's finalists, you ready?
I'm ready.
Matty Beniers, Owen Power, Stu Skinner. Surprised by Skinner, Troy? Does that one jump out to you?
I mean, if you need a goalie, he's the one. He led all rookie goalies in wins. He had, 29 wins. 2.75 goals against, .913 save percentage. Played in 50 games, so definitely really good stats for a goalie as a rookie. Here's an interesting thing, though, when I heard about Skinner. I didn't know this. No Oilers players ever won the Calder Trophy. That just seems like
Really?
It can't be. It can't be, right? I mean, there's McDavid, there's Gretzky, but nope. And I think Gretzky was just because I think he was deemed a professional already because he came from...
Because the WHA thing?
Yeah, WHA, WHL, whatever.
WHL, whatever it was, yeah.
Whatever it was called. Yeah, so I thought that was very, very interesting. And also, the last goalie to win the award was Steve Mason in 2008 and 9. So am I surprised to see Skinner? A little bit, but I can't really argue with it. I get why he's on there. I don't think he'll win. Obviously, I think we all know who we think is going to win.
Well, and then McDavid was hurt too, right? He didn't win the Calder for helping Leon Draisaitl have a good year in 2015. Okay, so, and I know you got a little bit of data here. We'll get to that in a second. So I was just thinking of maybe some potential snubs. So you have Beniers, Power, and Skinner. There's Matthias Michelli, who's second in rookie scoring with 49 points. Beniers had 57. Power had 35 points, by the way. I don't know, is that just the Arizona factor there as to why he doesn't get much attention, or...
Could be. I know some people have some rumblings about Power, and his points were more down. But I didn't watch Buffalo that much. I should have watched them more, but I didn't. But I did read enough pundits and beat writers and stuff, and every one of them was just saying how Power was an exceptional D-man this year. And it looked like someone who'd been playing in the league for 10-plus years. One of them said he looked like a grizzled veteran on the D-line. So that's got to account for something. So I'm guessing that's why Power, even though the scoring numbers might not be the highest, that he's in the running for this award.
Then another potential snub that I was thinking of is Wyatt Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
He finished fourth in points with 41, but did finish tied with Beniers for the goals lead by Calder eligible rookies with 24. I specifically said Calder eligible because, of course, there's the too old rookie guy, Andrei Kuzmenko, who by far had the most goals and points for a rookie with 39 goals, 35 assists for 74 points in 81 games played. And again, he had another tragically bad facial expression on his young guns. So what are your thoughts on Johnston? Do you think he should have been a finalist above any of the three?
He's definitely in the argument. I think he just gets hurt by having so many good players in front of him on his team. He's got Hintz, Robertson, Seguin, and Jamie Benn. So he's got all these people in front of him. But he did play 82 games as a rookie. Had definitely the stat line to be up there. So I am kind of surprised to not see him, but I also get it because of the team he was on, if that makes sense.
And then you looked up some historical numbers that I thought are worth sharing.
Yeah, because I looked this up because we both have kind of said this seems like a pretty weak performance overall by this rookie class. And so I said, well, we can say that, but let's actually go and see if the numbers play out. And this is a very simple analysis. All I did was look at the number of 40 or more point rookie scorers the past 10 years by season, throwing out the 2 COVID years of 2019/20 and 2020/21, and then throwing out the delayed start season where they had the lockout of 2012-2013. And just how many rookie scorers did we have that scored 40 or more points? So this year we had 5. In 21-22, there was 9. In 2018-2019, though, we dropped back down and had 5. 2017-18, there was 13 rookie scorers that had 40 or more points. 2016-17, there was 8. 2015-16, we had 8. 2014-15, we had 7. And then the lowest we've had in the last 10 years was 2013-14, which only had 4. And then 2011-12 had 5. 2010/11 had 10. So I think we're right. It does seem down. It has been this low. We've had this low a number before. But we had a streak right there, starting at 14-15, where it was like 7, 8, 8, 13, and then we hit that kind of a dip. So it is definitely down from last year and down from the average usually of the last 10 years.
So it's at the low end of the range.
Yep, definitely at the low end of the range.
Overall, though, I can't see any way Beniers doesn't win this. Can you?
No, I think it's Beniers for the taking.
And I think as far as like the hobby impact of winning the Calder, the way that I kind of think about it is I think that the benefit is it's like a hype extender throughout the summer and really right up to when the season starts, like we saw with Mo Seider. He had a lot of hype that continued through the summer, but then ultimately, a couple months into next season, it's all, and this is the way it should be, about how they're playing. And if Beniers wins it and gets off to a great start, he's going to go up. If he struggles like Seider did this year, then who cares? That Seider won the Calder at this point.
And I think there's already been the built-in assumption that Beniers is going to win the Calder. I think most hockey hobby investors, flippers, collectors have kind of built that in already to his pricing.
We also had finalists announced, Troy, for the Norris Trophy, which is awarded annually to the defenseman who demonstrates throughout the season the greatest all-around ability in the position. So the finalists this year are Adam Fox, Erik Karlsson, and Cale Makar. So is Cale Makar the most controversial name on the list?
There's definitely some debate that we can have on the Norris Trophy candidates. I don't know.
Yes, I just listed all the potential snubs, and you have Josh Morrissey, Quinn Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, Brandon Montour, Rasmus Dahlin, Miro Heiskanen. Right, you could make a case probably for every one of those guys that they should be a finalist over Makar, can't you? Or maybe even, well, maybe not Fox, but
yeah, maybe not Fox. Fox is the one I'll probably give the most credit to being on the list. However, it's kind of funny. We mentioned, I think it was on last show, where we said if this was a list that came out during the playoffs, that Brandon Montour might be in the Norris running. But here's my thoughts. So I was trying to think of any other guys that got snubbed, and I actually started looking at Quinn Hughes, and I do think there's some steam behind him being a snub. He was second in scoring for all D. He had 76 points, proved considerably on the defensive side over the year, and also had the sixth most minutes per game of anyone in the NHL at 25 minutes, 40 seconds. Plus, I am not a fan of plus minus, but he was plus, I think, 15 on the season, and being in Vancouver, that's an accomplishment in itself. However, being in Vancouver is what probably hurts him for this award, given the train wreck that team was. And actually, I think Tocchet has come out and said some pretty good things about Quinn Hughes and how he developed over the year. Also looking at The Athletic, and again, I'm a huge fan of Dom Lucian, who does a lot of analytical work for The Athletic and on Hockey Advanced Stats. And he actually looks at all the NHL awards, and he looked at the Norris Trophy, and he looks at game score value added. Go look it up. I'm not going to try to explain it. It's pretty simple, but you can look it up and see what it compromises. And he basically compares all the defensemen and says, okay, let me rank them by a pure analytical approach. And in his analysis, and this is as of April 10th, the top three were Adam Fox, Hampus Lindholm, and wait for it, Josh, Brett Burns was number 3. Burnsy was 3. And he goes into like how Karlsson on his ranking by the analytics was 7th. And he says it's because Karlsson's defensive numbers are so atrocious that he almost completely erases his offensive production, which I thought was pretty fascinating. But he still mentions that he thinks Karlsson should kind of still be in the conversation. So, right, there's always one side. There's always the analytics, and there's always eye test or what you're seeing. You don't know any of the on-ice, how he is in the locker room, all that other, I don't know what the right word is, non-analytical stuff. And with my thought that Quinn Hughes might be a snub, Quinn Hughes wasn't even on Dom's list for the top 10 defensemen. But I still think Quinn Hughes had a great year. I just want to say, if you do have an Athletic subscription, they need to pay us. I talk about them every time. They need to give us some money for ads. But anyways, go read The Athletic. Go find that article. It's great. Troy's rant.
Who do you think wins it?
Adam Fox.
Yeah.
But I don't. Actually, let me take that back. Who do I think should win? Adam Fox. Who do I think will win? Erik Karlsson.
If Cale Makar wins, are you calling for a congressional investigation?
I don't. That would be fishy. I don't know about that. Plus, he was out for a little bit. I know injury shouldn't probably play that big a role, but I don't think he was better than Fox.
So, Troy, we were both kids in the 90s, right?
Yes.
Were you on Friday nights? Do you find yourself rolling down the street, smoking Indo, sipping on gin and juice? Or was that not your scene?
Oh, yeah. Any kid in the 90s had to listen to that stuff.
Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg, part of a group interested in buying the Senators. So apparently, Troy, Ryan Reynolds is not the only celebrity interested in purchasing the Ottawa Senators. What's going on? Why are the Ottawa Senators like the new it thing in the world? I like it.
It's crazy.
But it is kind of crazy. So Snoop is teamed up with LA-based entrepreneur Nico Sparks, trying to vie to become the, most diverse ownership group in the NHL. Out of the 12 initial investors, the majority of people are of color, according to The Athletic. Is there any minority owner in the NHL? Do you know that?
I have no clue off the top of my head.
I don't either, but I guess not. And Nico Sparks has expressed interest that he's hoping to market hockey to families from diverse backgrounds in the Ottawa area and beyond who haven't necessarily been the target audience for the sport in the past. A quote from Snoop along those same lines is, "Kids need to know that there's an option to play hockey if you look like me." Another great quote from Snoop that I saw about his potential bid to become a Ottawa Senators owner. He says, "The NHL doesn't know who to market. Like McDavid is the best athlete in the world, but you talk to most folks in the US and they have no clue who the F he is." No, I censored that.
Yeah.
That is an awesome quote.
Yeah, he's dead on. And if you, again, Athletic, if you're out there, send me a check, please, because I'm going to talk about you again. They actually do an in-depth interview with Snoop. And I was impressed. Like, maybe he got fed information, but he talks about going to the Kings games as a kid. He talked about Marcel Dion, talked about the gold and the purple jerseys. He actually seems really in tune to the market, to the NHL, what they need. He seems to be very, very interested, obviously, by putting his money behind it. And I also saw, Josh, that the Weekend has joined the Ryan Reynolds group in its attempt to buy the Senators. So,
oh, wow.
So here we are. Can you believe this? Like, you mentioned it, you hinted at it. Can you believe we're talking about Snoop Dogg, Ryan Reynolds, and the Weekend in discussions about buying an NHL team? What a crazy time we live in. I think it's great for the NHL. I think they need it. Like we've talked about before, or we talked on Jeremy's show, I think we were talking about Bieber. And you can hate Justin Bieber all you want, but when he has how many followers on Instagram and is tweeting or is posting about the Maple Leafs, that's good. That's good for the hobby. That's good for the NHL. It's good for hockey. So this is very interesting developments, and I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. Not just the celebrity factor, but again, in the diversity, because I think that is where the game has a lot of room to grow, of course, in popularity. And I think that what we've noticed with both ESPN and TNT here is that they have made an absolute concerted effort on a lot of the panels to have African-American panelists, like whether it's PK Subban, I'm not going down there again, PK Subban on ESPN, or is it Kevin Weeks who's been on, is he on ESPN too, or who's the guy that's been on?
I think Anson Carter, right?
Anson Carter. Yeah, maybe that's the guy. But honestly, they got to keep doing that. And you need to be able to see yourself playing this game, really to ever, I think, have interest in doing it. It'll be fascinating to see how this shakes out. And the thing I don't know, and maybe we have a bunch of Ottawa fans, and we have some people on our Discord that might know this, is this because there's something particular about Ottawa that is so attractive to these people, or is it just the one NHL team up for sale right now? And is the NHL kind of, I mean, I hate to put it this way because, it's a lot of money, but the most affordable still kind of sports franchise to own? You got to have like ridiculous dough to be buying NBA teams or NFL teams or baseball teams at this point.
Yeah, a couple of things on that. I think, one, the interest is just because it's the Senators and just because it's hockey. Plus, Ryan Reynolds is from Canada, so that gets some credit and some interest. I did look. There are minority owners of NHL teams that are people of color. Marshawn Lynch is part owner of the Kraken. So there are.
That's awesome.
I tried to find any majority owners, but didn't see it. But that will be interesting how this kind of plays out. And one thing I was thinking about this whole thing, we're talking about Snoop, we're talking about the NHL. I feel like the NHL should have capitalized more on Charles Barkley saying he would rather watch the NHL playoffs than the basketball playoffs because how boring they are. Now, I get it. It's TNT. I'm sure they can't. I don't know. I'm sure there's some I don't know what the word, pressure not to like exploit that, but what a quote from Barkley. Like the guy, the talking head of the NBA, just saying, NBA playoffs are boring. I'm going to go watch the NHL because that's more fun. Oh, I wish they could have expanded on that more, kind of drove that point home to people.
When I want to say this again, the quote from Snoop, because I think it bears repeating. The NHL does not know who to market.
Yeah.
Like McDavid is the best athlete in the world, but you talk to most folks in the United States and they have no clue who the F he is.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
Yep.
And it's true. I think it's very well put. Okay, we're going to move on. I saw on ESPN that Fanatics released some NHL jersey sale data for both the regular season and postseason. So we'll start with the regular season, Troy. The top player jerseys sold were top 5. Alex Ovechkin, second straight season, number 1 jersey. Doesn't surprise me in the least bit. Surprise you?
No.
Sidney Crosby, number 2. David Pastrnak, number 3 this year. It is a little bit surprising to me.
That one definitely is
number
surprising.
3.
Yes.
Then Jack Hughes, another little, I guess, minor surprise. And then Austin Matthews is number 5. No Connie McDavid in the top 5. Well, how is that possible?
You got Americans who don't know about him, and Edmonton's a small market.
I guess maybe Snoop is right, huh? Top team jersey sales in the regular season. Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, and Colorado Avalanche. So here's what really stood out to me about this top 5. Not a single team in Canada.
Yeah, because all the Canadian people already own their jerseys. They don't have to buy any.
That's what I was going to wonder.
They have jerseys already. I think what's more interesting on this is we're Minnesota. I mean, we are I think we're technically a small market, so maybe that's goes into it. But we're also kind of fair weather fans. I feel a lot of them are at times.
Yeah, those are kind of the two things that stood out there. So now looking at the playoffs, Troy, top 5 player jerseys sold in the first round of the playoffs. Austin Matthews, number 1. Jack Hughes. Nathan McKinnon. Kind of interesting. David Pastrnak. And now our guy, Connor McDavid.
Do you think, number 1 there being Austin Matthews, do you think that's people rebuying his jersey after they burned him after the previous playoff losses? Or first round
maybe.
So now they had to go back and get a new jersey for this year's playoffs?
I don't know. And then the top 5 team jerseys sold in the first round of the playoffs. Boston Bruins, number 1. Oops. Maple Leafs, Kraken, and Rangers and Devils.
Yeah, Kraken to me should be you'd think they'd be on almost all the team ones, but I guess not. But definitely for playoffs.
So we were watching some games the other night, and must have been, it had to have been the Kraken Stars game. My wife, not a fan of the Kraken's colors.
What?
Learned that.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean,
bring it up with her.
Your color palettes are getting pretty limited for these expansion teams. Most of the palettes have been chosen over.
And based on like the Seahawks and just the whole vibe in Seattle, it fits the market, I think, pretty well. Last thing on jersey sales is per Fanatics, NHL merch sales during the first round, Troy, were up 45% over last year. Love to hear that.
Good to see.
Last thing in hobby news is the April gem rate grading recap is out. So each month, gemrate.com releases a monthly grading recap. There's some interesting notes from their April grading report. One quick thing is you won't have CSG data because they must have been doing some pop report maintenance or something like that, as there's no data for April. But if you look at total sports cards graded, PSA led the way again with 669,000, which was down 1% over March. SGC was second at 85,000, down 23% over March. And BGS at 30,000, down 7%. It's crazy to think when it comes to sports cards that BGS is about a third of the volume of SGC now. I think a lot of that might have to do with, and I don't know if you've seen on the baseball side, but SGC has been doing these promotions for like Bauman and Bauman Chrome where like $9 grading specials and stuff like that. So I think that's boosted their numbers a little bit.
Well, if you were BGS, wouldn't you try to then do the hockey side of that maybe and try to get some market share back?
I don't know.
Or are they just done? Hoping to get bought out.
They have a new CEO. And if you saw that after the whole kerfuffle, their CEO got
really? Well,
removed.
They probably brought in a guy to sell them.
As far as hockey cards graded in the month of April, PSA had 39,700. That was a 5% growth over the prior month. SGC 2500, 4% growth, and BGS 2700, 1% growth. So even BGS does still have a little bit of a lead in the hockey card grading race. There were no hockey players in the top 12 graded players by PSA for April, but Troy, the 2021 Upper Deck Cole Caulfield Young Guns was the fourth most submitted sports card to PSA for April, with 600 copies sent in. About 5,000 have now been graded by PSA, which is a ton. But the gem rate's so low that it's keeping his pop count low. I want to talk about Slab Sharks real quick. Slab Sharks, as well as a Gong Show partner and sponsor, a huge thank you to them for making this little Gong Show possible. Well, Troy, they just finished up their last week, their banner 1-year anniversary post-Toronto Expo auction, and we're already off to the next one. Once again, it's another hockey collector's dream, this week's auction. Here's just a couple of cards that are currently live. So if you go to slabsharks.com and click a link to the auction, you can see, okay, Troy, get your checkbook out. Gritty Young Guns SGC 10 gold label pristine.
That's awesome. Well, that set a record for a mascot Young Guns.
That's a great question.
Or is there not that many? There's probably Gritty. We know Bowie's out there. I'm sure there's others, but that would be a fun research project.
Then Connor McDavid's assistant, Leon Draisaitl, a 2014 Young Guns exclusives, BGS 9.5, so that's out of 100. That is a huge card. Or how about a 2013 SP Authentic Nathan McKinnon Future Watch Auto Patch out of 100 raw? If that doesn't move you, there's a Wayne Gretzky Mark Messier dual auto from 2013 The Cup. That's pretty awesome. And overall, there's tons of cards. So again, go to slabsharks.com for a link to their eBay auction. And if you happen to be a Canadian hockey card collector and are looking for a super easy and hassle-free way to turn your cards into cash, we'd recommend checking out Slabsharks eBay consignment service. They do all the work. They handle the buyers. They hunt down the payment. They ship it out and even ship to the U.S. Slabsharks.com for complete consignment service information. So I was thinking the other day about what the impact is of neither Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin being in this year's playoffs. And I started to look up a little bit like, well, how often has this happened? So on and so forth. It's the first time in Crosby's whole career he hasn't made the playoffs. So that's kind of news in of itself. And Ovechkin, I think, was on a 9-year streak where he was in the playoffs as well. To me, what's so significant about these guys not in the postseason is if you look at the pantheon of hobby players, I would say, and I'll wait to get your feedback on this, but there's 4 elite guys and 4 elite guys only in this hobby. There's Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, and Matthews.
Yeah, agree.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if there's anyone. I mean, I suppose like Draisaitl or Pastrnak are 2 guys you could maybe argue, but it's not those. I don't think arguments work. It's by far those are the guys who set all the records, who move the needle, and these are, of course, our current players.
Yeah, I was just like Gretzky. Where's Gretzky? He's still, as weird as it is, he's still in there.
Well, and there's Gretzky, Howe, in the retired list. But as far as current players go, there's 4 hobby elite guys. And so when you don't have Ovechkin and Crosby, you're missing 50% of your highest tier guys from the playoffs. Do you just think, so big picture, do you think that has to have some sort of impact on the hobby?
I would guess so, but I don't know how much. It's big market, or I don't know how big a market Washington and Pittsburgh are. I don't know what their populations are, their market share. But having 2 out of 4 of your megastars missing, I think, should affect it a little bit.
And the playoffs have been good, and were actually very good. So that's, I think, the good news in this. And we know ratings are sky high right now and big jumps over last year, especially in the U.S. You've got a couple Canadian teams that are battling it out. You got these couple surprise teams like Florida and Seattle, young up-and-coming team in Dallas. So it's not the end of the world, I don't think, that they're not in the playoffs. The tricky thing is, well, how would you tell, of course, what the macro impact of that would be? And the only thing I could think of is to look at it individually and just to see if it's like out of sight, out of mind. Is that hurting their values? But honestly, it really isn't. So if you look at like Crosby sales, and I just looked at his Young Guns, he's a 2005 Young Gun PSA 10, top 960. Like the week before the playoffs started was selling for 3,200. So a better way to say it is the week the regular season ended. And then last sale was May 1st for $2,957 US. So it's down like 8%. Ovi, on the other hand, Troy, his 2005 Young Gun PSA 10 popped 1,117. Last sold for $5,232 US on May 6th, which was this Saturday. It's up 13% in the past 2 weeks. So his value's going up. And I don't know if that's the Gretzky chase effect there or what. But and that got me thinking just about, this is like a tangent question, but so let's think about like the apex of, assuming he gets the goal mark. If his Young Guns is like 5,200 right now, so let's think about, he's a couple goals away from Gretzky, right? The apex of the hype. What's your prediction, if you had to guess, where that value goes to?
Oh my God. I'll say probably I'll go up 50%. So what was that, $5,000?
Yeah, it's like 7,500.
Yeah, 7,500.
That's not a bad guess, I don't think. Well, then it got me thinking too, okay, so now what happens if Toronto, who's down 0-2 right now, plays tonight, or the Oilers or both get bounced in round 2? Then we have the rest of the playoffs. Now we're missing all 4 of our current megastars. And does that start to hurt the hobby? Or does it maybe help bring attention to a guy like Matthew Knies?
That's where I'm going with this. I'm going with your second point. I was just going to say it, but I think it puts us that way. I think it makes us see who these other guys
other
really
players
are. But again, even go back to Snoop Dogg saying people in the U.S. don't know McDavid. How do they get to know about McDavid? It's probably get deep in the playoffs and make the cup. So I think it would be nice if McDavid could make the cup. But I do like the point of, if they do get eliminated, that you have these other guys that we're going to see jump into the spotlight.
Well, it'll be a big game today for Toronto. I think it's over if they lose.
Yeah, if they lose, it's done.
I feel more confident about Edmonton. But then it comes back to, it's like game 1 felt a little fluky, but then it's the Stewie Skinny factor.
Yep.
Can he bully? How many games are going to blow?
Well, yeah. And even,
or be really good.
I mean, we talked about this. We thought about maybe Samsonov for Toronto's on the struggle bus, but the more I read and the more I watched video, it seems like he's doing okay. He's not being a superstar, but man, they really need him to just shut them down for a game and get them back into this thing. And I did see that he has the most, Samsonov, I think, is number 1 for the most high danger save percentage. So those, so those goals that score 10 to 15% of the time, he actually makes the most saves on, which is pretty crazy.
You saw his quote, right, about Bobrovsky?
Yeah, he's like, I don't care about him. Like, he's playing his game. I'm trying to play my game.
Do you think there's any way they start Matt Murray today?
I don't think so. I don't think he can. Would you? Oh, man, I don't know. I'll say no. I don't think I would go that route.
If they do, we got to drive to whatever state we can legally gamble in. And whatever the over is for how many times Matt Murray knocks the goals off the stanchion. Yep. We pound the over.
Hour and a half, we can go south. We got to get into Iowa. That's where we can bet.
Yeah, so I don't know. To me, again, it's just kind of interesting that you got like 50% of your megastars on the golf course right now and not on the ice. All right. Going to go into new product releases. So here's the big question. How things have changed, Troy. Could May actually not have a hockey release? Almost every product has been pushed that was in May to June, with the exception, Troy, of Trilogy, which right now says May 25th on Dave and Adams, at least. So if there's a lag in releases and we end up going a month with our release, I don't love the timing of that, because wouldn't you think you'd want a release or 2 during the playoffs to kind of keep the excitement rolling here? I'm sure there's reasons, but it's just poor timing, I guess, from that perspective. If it does end up being this month, the lone release, it's 2022-23 Trilogy. So remember, that's like Matty Beniers, Matt Boldy, Owen Power, etc. Now, Trilogy, Troy, was a set that was canceled or skipped, I don't know what, due to COVID, but missed a year, and so Upper Deck is bringing it back. Right now, pre-sale prices are $130 on Dave and Adams for the hobby box and $170 Canadian on Clouts and Chara. It's a 6-pack box with 4 cards per pack. There's 1 auto per box, 1 memorabilia card per box, 3 numbered parallels, and 3 numbered base set rookies. Trilogy to me is probably most known for its rookie premieres cards, which come in 3 levels depending on how good or chased the rookie is. This is one of the sets I struggle with because I don't really understand like where it fits in.
Yeah.
And I can't even honestly tell you whether I like it or not. I don't. Is that weird?
Well, no, I don't think we've really seen it or looked at it that much just because it got moved or canceled, whatever you want to call it. I was excited about the 130 price, but then I saw 6 cards. But at least you're guaranteed an auto, which I like.
3 numbered parallels and 3 numbered base rookies.
I always go back to that mailbag question we had. What's the best value? Like, where can you get some value? And is this it? I don't know. 130? I mean, seems pretty good for an auto.
But if they follow suit, though, and have 100 rookies on the checklist.
Yeah, agree. 100%. Then it's like, well.
It's a tough chase for any product, really, at this point.
We'll go back
and I think
don't buy boxes if you're looking to make money.
Yeah, just do it because you're degenerates like us and have fun opening cards. So, we'll see what happens. But it's wild to think it's like been a machine gun, all these products coming out, and it feels like it's just stopped a little bit. So, and the one I'm really looking forward to still that I keep eyeing every time, and it still says June 4th, and I hope it doesn't get pushed, is that Parker's Champion set. Yeah. That's the one I'm kind of excited about. Well, we haven't ended the show in a long time with personal pickups. You do have a note, so I'll let you start.
Yeah, personal pickups. I do have a pickup or 3, but I'm not going to mention it yet until I have them in hand. However, some of our astute listeners may be able to figure it out. My hint is it's a player IPC and the last Slab Sharks auction. So we'll leave it at that.
There you go.
And once I get the cards,
I have a bunch.
Once I get the cards, I'll post them in whatever Discord or Instagram, but don't got them yet.
It's a big one. I have a bunch of pickups. They're pretty small, like nothing's crazy, but just fun stuff that I've been kind of into lately. As I mentioned, I like the highlighters insert from Series 2. I picked up a Jack Hughes a couple weeks ago, an orange one raw for like $20. I didn't dramatically overpay.
I was going to say, did you set the market? Did you set the new?
No.
New
learned my lesson, Troy. Learned my lesson. Then I got a 1999 Stadium Club Chrome Refractor Teemu Selanne. It's a really great card where he's kind of skating with Paul Kariya. He's got his arm around him. It was like $19 on eBay, something like that. A 1998 Topps Mystery Finest Refractor Teemu was like $13 on eBay. What I love about these 90s inserts is they're really cheap.
Yeah.
For like the refractors. And I love the refractor look on cards. I got a 1998 OPC Chrome Refractor Jaromir Jagr Puck Providers. It was $35. I got the Gretzky Puck Providers at the Expo. So it kind of matches with that. And then the last 90s insert one I got is a 95 Bowman's Best Refractor Eric Lindros. It's like $10. I also made a trade on my card post and traded a Upper Deck Peter Forsberg rookie PSA 10 for a Tage Thompson Young Guns. So gotten a little bit of I think I had multiples of the Forsberg equal value. It is easy to trade on my card post. So congrats to them there. All right, Troy. Well, that is our show for Monday. If you like the episode, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, want to support us and chat with us regularly on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our out of 99 support level tier on Patreon. The link is in the show description, within our Instagram profile. On our website, there's a link there, hockeycardsgongshow.com. Or you can go to the Patreon website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. Remember, tonight, Monday night, is our first ever YouTube live show, 6:55 Central Time. We're going to cover the NHL Draft Lottery and see where Connor Bedard will end up next year. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to our Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast channel there. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. We'll see you on Thursday.